The Shema and the Mezuzah, Listening to Each Other, by Rabbi Sandy Eisenberg Sasso, illustrated by Joni Keller Rothenberg. Annie's grandmother had just moved into a new home. Annie was glad all the boxes were unpacked. Now her grandmother would have time to bake her favorite chocolate chip cookies. "Can we bake now?" Annie asked expectantly. "Not just yet," her grandmother smiled. "There is still one more box to open." Annie's grandmother carefully opened a small package that Annie recognized right away. "That's a mezuzah! We have one on the doorway of our home," Annie exclaimed. "My mom told me that inside is a very special paper and on it are very important words, the words of the Shema. Shema Yisrael. Listen, Israel, the eternal our God, the eternal is one. Speak these words when you go out and when you come in, when you lie down and when you get up." Annie watched as her grandmother said a blessing and put up the mezuzah on her doorway. "Grandma, why doesn't the mezuzah stand up straight or lie down flat?" Annie said. "Why does the mezuzah look like it's leaning to one side? It's the same way at my home." Her grandmother smiled. "Let me tell you a story. Once, there was a town where many people had mezuzahs, but no one knew how to put them up. Perhaps there are instructions inside the mezuzah, the townspeople thought. They looked at the special paper inside the mezuzah. It contained words from the Torah, but no instruction on how to put the mezuzah on the doorpost. Half the people said, "We should put it standing up, since the words tell us to say the Shema when we get up in the morning." Half the people insisted that the mezuzah should be lying down. The words tell us to say the Shema when we lie down at night. Neither side wanted to listen to the other. They just argued and kept shouting and shouting. One side screamed, "Standing up!" The other side shrieked, "Lying down!" "Standing up!" "Lying down!" "Standing up!" "Lying down!" The two sides yelled and yelled and yelled. They argued all through the day. They argued all through the night. "Standing up!" "Laying down!" What were the people to do? They decided to ask the rabbi of the town. The rabbi turned his head to one side and listened. The rabbi turned his head to the other side and listened. To the people who believed that the mezuzah should be standing up, the rabbi said, "You are right." To the people who believed that the mezuzah should be lying down, the rabbi said, "You are right." The townspeople were puzzled. "Rabbi, how can we all be right? We can't have the mezuzah standing up and lying down at the same time." The rabbi smiled. "You're right again." "Very funny, Rabbi," both sides agreed. But the rabbi wasn't laughing. "You haven't read the instructions very carefully. The very first word on the mezuzah's special paper is listen, Shema. Listen to one another. You must put the mezuzah on the doorway so that it's standing up a little and lying down a little." The people who wanted the mezuzah standing up listened to the people who wanted it lying down and said, "Well, if we slant the mezuzah, it will almost be standing up." The people who wanted the mezuzah lying down listened to the people who wanted it standing up and said, "Well, if we slant the mezuzah, it will also be lying down, almost." Both sides liked the rabbi's idea. The people stopped shouting, they stopped arguing, they stopped yelling, and they listened. They put up the mezuzahs. People lived in many different kinds of homes, but they were one people. It's just like the Shema tells us. God is one. And that's how, Annie's grandmother said, it's been ever since. When we place the mezuzah on our doorway, it's not standing up and it's not lying down. It's leaning into our home just the way it should be. When we enter our home and we see the leaning mezuzah, we remember, she said softly. We stop shouting. We stop arguing. We stop yelling at each other. We listen. We are one. The end.